All right. Now we have the king of all audio, Jingle Jared, the man, the myth, the legend, the cowboy hat. He is here. His crew is here. So, Jingle Jared, it is a pleasure to be partnering with you on this podcast studio at the Moore.
Thank you.
Why don't you share with us a little bit about your background and how we ended up here today?
Oof, where do I start? The shortest version of it is I used to run a company called Jingle Punks. I was the former king of jingles, retired with honors. If you ever watched television between 2008 and 2020, Real Housewives, Pawn Stars, American Pickers, The Voice, a lot of that music was created by my company or aggregated in a cloud-based system, which was kind of a precursor to what I'm doing now with podcasting, but because there was more music available in the world than ever before and less available lanes to monetize it, we created this bizarre music middle class. You know, everybody's trying to be the next Taylor Swift, the next Post Malone, the next Drake. We were looking to just make $1 and split 50 cents with the artist. And along the way, I had some incredible things happen. I got to work with a lot of my heroes like Nas, got to work with Bob Dylan, got to work with, I discovered Jelly Roll, who was a 400-pound white rapper who's now richer and skinnier than me. It's a beautiful thing.
He is. He got really skinny, Jelly Roll, no?
Yeah, that's what happens. It's like trading places.
Amazing.
And somewhere along the way, I realized that the attention economy was changing from traditional television and cable, and everybody went from this era of social media to now we're moving into an era of social audio. And I believe that the new attention economy is exactly how you described it. You make one piece of content like what we're doing here right now, and it's exciting because tomorrow you'll have a photo, you'll have this discussion in a podcast, and the thing I'm doing now, which hopefully will be the Intel engine for this beautiful studio you guys are building here, is called Rebel Audio, and it allows you to take all of the tools that you would need as a creator and really just one click publish to all the platforms, do all of your clipping, all of your transcripting, all of your editing. And I see a future exactly as you described, where every entrepreneur needs to have their own funnel. As much as it's a pain in the butt to be communicating all the time with everybody at every second of the day, it's a necessary function in personal brands. And what you described during the COVID era of you building a business and essentially kicking the butt of a Peloton, where there's a big piece of hardware, there's a big opt-in. People want to opt into digital tribes and digital cultures. So what we're trying to build is really the picks and shovels for that, which is very parallel to what I did in music. It was picks and shovels to create an aggregation of lots and lots of content and give them simple tools.
So can you explain, obviously that was very articulate, but the blocking and tackling the process. So what happens, right now, you go into a podcast studio, you record, obviously someone edits at some point, and you're posting. What is the difference in that process with Rebel Audio?
So I think that we're entering into a phase with podcasting the way that, in a very odd way, Canva has already tackled for website builders or for designers and creators. Most people are expected to have the skill set of being an editor, knowing how to publish, knowing how to clip. And the process currently right now, and this is going to sound very Ron Popeil-ish, like the hard sell, is you're going to have to go.
I love Ron Popeil.
Just
I've
set
spent many
it and
hours.
forget it, man.
Yeah.
Is that you need to use several different platforms. So when we're done here, and this is an incredible setup, so everybody has access to great things like this. And by the way, I'm going to tell everybody and anybody that's in Miami, if they're making a podcast, they should be doing it here, because this is not normal.
This is amazing.
The lighting looks good, but so most people, on their phone, at home, on their computer, are making a piece of content. After that, and I've been creating podcasts for the last few years, and my least favorite part is when I'm done, because I'm like, oh crap, now I have to make the art, now I have to go describe it, now I have to go enter it with metadata into 6 different platforms. So you could use a Podbean, a Buzzsprout, an Anchor, a Spotify for creators. And then they change the rules on you, and they're like, guess what? It's not good enough just to have the podcast. You now need to advertise the small clips across every social media platform. And guess what? That's not enough. You also have to have it on LinkedIn. And guess what? Your transcript has to be on Substack. So you're sitting there, you're like, well, I'd rather not make the content then, because it's a lot. You know,
It's a lot
sitting
of
here
work.
and doing this
It's
is
a lot
fun.
of work.
You guys, the conversation is great, but it should be that easy where you step off. And, you know, in this instance, you have a great editor, so you can, you know, and by the way, if you have a lot of money, all those problems are solved. So if you have a clipper or a PA or a production assistant or even an admin, they can take all that stuff off your hands. And that's what you saw in the first wave of Pod 1.0. These incredible people have started in a certain way. Like, by the way, the first podcast I ever created were people like Tom Green, who did this. They left major platforms like MTV, and then they went into their living room with cables, and plugged things in. It was a lot more complicated because the internet was way different then. And they just pushed it out, and they called it a podcast. So the first 1.0 wave people built media empires, like the Call Her Daddies, the Joe Rogans, by doing just this. We're entering into an era of social audio where more and more people want to do that. They don't have the admin, they don't have an assistant, they don't have $30,000, $40,000 a year to support it. What we've done is essentially sequenced it using, you know, I had an AI epiphany this year. Many, and I talk in sort of staccato here, but I'll take you back to go forward. Many years ago, before, when I was first an entrepreneur doing Jingle Punks, I was what you'd call like a creative entrepreneur or a creator founder, because it was half creative stuff, but also I built a platform. As I got older, and I'm really old now, I didn't want to build things again because I was like, this is too difficult. I'm not caught up with the latest technology. I don't want to relearn something. And then AI just was like, boom, I woke up one day and it was everywhere. And I felt like Paul Newman in The Color of Money, where it's like, I don't want to play pool anymore. I don't have it in me. And I started doing it and like learning the tools. And I was like, oh my God, the winners in this new economy are going to be the ones that simplify the available tools that are happening right now. Yeah. So many people feel a certain way about AI, and they're like, that's terrible. It's making trash. It's brain rot or all sort. But we're not talking about the content. I'm talking about the steps to make your life easier.
Yeah.
Everyone's life has a certain amount of steps in it. And my new rule is if I have to do things twice in the course of a week, that should be thrown into AI. Whether it's a certain type of email response or errands or... So as I was thinking about podcasting and the things I really, really hated about it, I was like, I don't want to do these things every time. I don't want to do data entry. I don't want to click boxes to go, where's my podcast going to go? If I just one time just say, I don't even have to click it, just tell the AI, I want my podcast to go to the usual space that it goes to. So that would be Spotify, Apple, SiriusXM, and YouTube. And I want it to link to my Shopify account. And I want it to link to, if I'm doing tours, my tour dates. And I don't want to have to tell it twice. I don't want to have to enter extra things into it. So the same way that you're looking at a ChatGPT or a Claude on your desktop, it's really just a co-pilot. So all the fancy things that we're doing here, that's the making and the creation part, and we don't want to take that away from creators because that's the best part. What we want to do is allow more free time for you guys to actually live your life, have experiences, think of more cool things to do, but when you press play and publish, you should just go, boop, hit it, and I've been,
So it's basically like an AI agent of podcasts.
It's Canva for podcasting. I took a long way to get there, but I got there.
Yeah,
I got there.
But Canva doesn't do it for you. You have to do stuff.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Once you get Claude and Canva,
yeah,
then
and all these
you're
things,
like kind of doing the
That's
thing.
right. And I keep thinking to myself, it's like building a hot rod. So my AI epiphany was like, I'm not going to compete with, ChatGPT or Claude. I'm not building frontier engines. What I'm doing is I'm building a vehicle that is then filled like a hot rod with different pieces of different cars. Mm-hmm. And every day as I've been creating it, and again, I sound like a weathered old man when I'm discussing it. It's a muscle you flex. When you don't work out, you don't like working out. When you don't create content, you really don't even know where to start, because it's like, and I got back into figuring out my flow of making content again, not because I want to, have a content funnel, but because I want to make sure that the way I do it jives with the tool that we're building. In a perfect world, I want to start my week with recording just to camera, like a Theo Vaughn, my thought of the week, whether it's about the latest AI or an entrepreneur story. I want that one content to turn into my Substack, my podcast, available on all the platforms, available as immediately clips that I can just throw to social and publish from the same launch pad. And then I don't want to think about it again until next week when I have to do my next piece of content.
Amazing. So this is what Rebel Audio does.
Yeah. And it's it's available starting June 1, but this is the first facility that has it as a native publishing platform. So anybody who comes here and they want to sign up and learn about it, You could be in the beta now, and we'd love to have you in it. We'd love to have you in it. Everybody, you guys, everyone gets a podcast.
You get a podcast. You get a podcast. So it's kind of crazy because when I started my marketing business, the marketing department, I came out and I was like, I am not going to do social media. This is not what I'm going to do. And then one day, Alex, who's sitting back there with the What's Good hat on, me and him went with my friend Zoli, who is a genius with short form media, and we get into a podcast studio, not as nice as this, someone's apartment. I think, no, this wasn't with Chris. This was before Chris. But gets into the studio, and I was like, this is kind of easy. It's like, this is really easy. I just have to sit down and like they handle the filming, they handle the uploading. Alex knows how to use CapCut, so we can make some videos, and I'm gonna do it. And at the same time with the marketing business, I was doing everyone's strategies, and I would come up with these ideas that I thought were brilliant. And then the time would come to put out the content and like promote it, and I was like, oh my God, like I've been a CMO of at this point, I've been the CMO of multiple multi-billion-dollar companies, and I hadn't figured this out. And I sat down and I was like, you know what? There's no way to promote any of these businesses without social media. That's it. Like if you really are to put the proper definition on social media, like social media owns the distribution. If you buy a billboard, you're an idiot. And if you buy
That's for
ads,
vanity. It's to just show
Yeah.
somebody how I did that.
What do you mean? I actually buy billboards. I do it.
I'm a fan of billboards.
No, I put them on my social media, and that's all people actually care about.
Correct.
So you use the AI, you make the billboard, you put it on the social, and then everyone thinks you bought a billboard.
Yeah.
Because people only believe what they see on social media because the digital world is very often more real today to most people than the physical world.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of wild. So basically, if you were to take, and now I'm kind of getting it live on stage, I'm having the epiphany. If I was to take my epiphany with a podcast studio and partner it with, I guess, what Simone understood, with a AI platform that can take all of my content and distribute it, then we have a very good competitive advantage here.
This is a rocket ship right here. You have everything you
Yes.
need. Honestly, this space, like I've been
Yeah.
I've been in many places where we've created and done podcasts. This is truly 20 years ago, 10 years ago, this would be called a television studio.
Well, thank you, Brady Wood, and Greg, and the rest of the board here at the Moore and Woodhouse, because they had the vision to bring us together to make a spectacular podcast studio that I think is going to really fly. And I'm excited to do this with you.
Thank you. By the way, I forgot one last feature that's really cool. So if you're doing your podcast and you're done with it, you're leaving money on the table if you're not doing multi-language formats. And we have a drop down to do in your own voice, clone it in 20 different languages. And I was messing around with it today, and it was hilarious to hear the trailer to my new show in Japanese, Hindu, Cantonese, German, Spanish. And it's like, again, we didn't invent these tools. We're just sequencing them so it's easy to do it. And think about the television or the music business, how they've been able to internationalize all of their catalogs. There's businesses literally just dedicated to selling formats overseas, but this is a frictionless media. You control it, you own it, you don't need anybody else to help you ship it overseas. Hit the button, and you can have this podcast any
So we
language.
could be global superstars?
Global superstar. The world's not ready for this.
It sounds amazing. So you hear that, Rachel? You could now put your workouts in a bunch of different languages.
Absolutely, yeah. I just tried out video today. Like I want anybody here who's starting a podcast, get in the private beta, try and break it, and email me and tell me what's working, what's not. I'm sending my engineers annoying like looms of me doing stuff all day, and I'm like, oh, this just crashed. But this is the phase where we would truly love to have people trying to break it before we go public in about 20 days.
I want to be big in Japan. Big in Tokyo, actually. Huge. So anyway, what one last question. So it seems to me, as a layman, that YouTube is taking over the world of podcasting, and now I occasionally watch Bill Simmons on Netflix. So what's that all about?
Gonna leave you with one last big thought. So, and I'm gonna try and not make this a big thought, like a long answer. So, cable television changed television forever when all of a sudden you could make things less expensively. That's where you have your MTVs and it created a whole new class of stars. Fast forward to cord cutting, you got your Netflixes, your Paramount Pluses, your Disneys, and people pay a direct subscription. The margins on that type of business are insane for the people who own those businesses. If you go to the front of Netflix right now, you will see podcasts because they have the option now that they have you in their subscription funnel to either spend $100, $200 million on the next season of Stranger Things or put up Bill Simmons and Rogan. Their guess, and their guess is possibly correct, that the attention economy they're competing against YouTube, and YouTube has, literally UGC content competing with shows that have been funded for $1 billion. So you have your Mr. Beasts, you have your live streamers. We are going to be one of the first companies that has the video API capability with Apple and Spotify, which again, when you describe it, it's a TV show. So like, I was looking at this today, and the podcast app looks different now because now you have video, which is full circle to where podcasts started. They called it a podcast, but it was Tom Green on video with literally, you can Google it, this exact setup, and he showed Joe Rogan the future. And Joe Rogan basically had the platform because he was on an NBC show called Fear Factor. He was an early adopter of what would become this massive new sport, UFC. And he leveraged all those interesting, I'd say niche and bizarre touch points, comedy, sports, to find a lane of his own. And if you look on Apple Podcasts, just the charts every morning, what you're going to see is that none of the things that we've grown up on with trained media, the CNN's not on there, Fox News is not on there, NBC's not on there, Dateline's on there because they do a lot of like murder and mystery things, but those are the type of, just look at those categories, and if there's room for one, there's room for many in there. And I do think that we're entering into an era of like social content creators where, and this is me landing the plane here on the thought, it's going to create a whole new class of creators where the television in front of you for the first time is going to be a two-way communication. For your whole life, things were broadcast at you. People literally would gather around the television to watch. 60 million people would watch All in the Family. You could not find 60 million people to watch any single piece of content unless it was on YouTube. Elon Musk smoking a joint with Joe Rogan. So, I mean, it opens the door to independent creators being able to monetize directly, no third party taking the advertising dollars, they get to keep it, and nobody censoring it. It's creating a whole new class of social audio creators.
I have one other question since we're here, and I don't want to, because I think about these things and I have no one to talk to about them. My wife's not.
We should do this more often.
Yes. So here's the question: everybody has been like thinking about what the hell is Apple doing with AI, right? Because like the inherent thought is that like, why don't they have an LLM, right? Why don't they have a large language model? But they chose not to get into the, let's call it the LLM wars and spend,
$1 trillion.
Yeah, $1 trillion on that, even though they probably could have. And so now we have obviously Google, the scariest company in the world, who are positioned to win no matter what, because we just spent time talking about YouTube. And so Google's winning no matter what. They're going to get anywhere, at least 40% of the market share. And then Claude, wow, that's fucking, Anthropic is amazing. Elon, you never could really count him out, but he'll figure out something to do with Grok, although I think I used it once. And ChatGPT, I still use it. Obviously, they're in the process of either being the most valuable company in the world or completely imploding before our eyes, whatever the hell is going on. So now Apple controls the distribution of the LLMs. So what do you think of this? Like, because it's one thing to have like like to have the content, but content is worthless without distribution, right? And if you can't get to your Chat GPT or your Claude or your whatever through the app store or whatever through the device.
I mean, the Apple is always watching and always listening the same way Google is, and actually Google has been extremely anytime a new product comes out like Claude or
they're
ChatGPT,
partners,
I
right?
know, but even Gemini, which is very quiet, they have all these functions that they're building all the time. They don't even advertise. It just is assumed that they have the most data because they have the Google search, and then they also have all the YouTube data. So I mean,
And Gmail.
Correct. So I personally don't want to make any predictions that will be wrong down the line, but I do believe that Apple has the ability to step in at any point, and for all we know, they've been training models just off all of our viewing, listening, phone. You know, even the way that they serve ads to you, just that as a listening device. The big tech, what do they call it? FANG, which is the ultimate people that are going to acquire any tech business. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Those are really we're living in a tech oligarchy
Well, they did the same thing to Meta. Like they basically shut off like how they were doing ads and like put them back over a couple of years. Obviously, paid ads on social still are an important part of things.
And that's why the algorithm keeps changing on us. Every few months, they're like, this is important. And right now, the word of the moment is clipping. So clipping means one piece of content goes into many. And they have everybody like chasing their tail, going this direction, then going that direction. But I mean, all of those companies essentially control the data, our distribution, and now our preferences. So I mean, it's an interesting time.
I had a photographer make a comment on one of our posts the other day. It was a post that came out from inside like a matcha cup, and he was like, it was a really popular post, like tens of thousands of people, and he was like, "This is AI," and I was like, "Yeah, no, actually." We got into the matcha cup ourselves, and we miniaturized ourselves, and we took a picture out of the matcha cup. Like, who cares? Like, this is what the world is. Like, the tools are the tools. It's how you use them. So I look forward to using Rebel Audio and the What's Good studio at the Moore. And I'm super excited, man. This sounds like a brave new world. So thank you so much, guys. And hope to see you making podcasts and back for our late night show at the Moore very soon. Thanks a lot.
Woo. Thank you. All right. Let's grab that pick.
Awesome, man. Great work. Good beginning. Good beginning. We got to figure out the format.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
If anybody wants hats for Rebel, we got some here.